first day in Tokyo, in Japan. And yesterday was actually the day I arrived, and it was super tiresome. But well, I'm about to leave right now to grab a coffee at Family Mart. Well, it is really right now about over 6 o'clock in the morning, so there are not much people here. But let's take a look.
This is also my first time exploring the street nearby the Airbnb that I stayed in. I'm sure I can find a nearby Family Mart or 7-Eleven or Lawson somewhere because they are literally everywhere in Japan. Remember when I said vending machines are everywhere? As I pass by, there are few similar apartment buildings like the one I am currently staying in. However, the average price for one of these studio units is still near about $150 to $200 Canadian per night. Although they don't look nice and honestly are quite small, they are not cheap at all. Also, this street that I'm on is full of hotels. Most likely they are considered love hotels. Aside from the fact that you can book your hotel normally, they can also be available hourly. Right by the corner, I think this is a host club. You can tell by the huge display for the host and hostess. And I did some research, and apparently they are not TV or movie stars, but hosts are popular as those celebrity stars in Japan. And they have tons of fans that adore them. And from my understanding, they make as much as celebrities. Interesting culture in Japan. I hope you enjoy the walk with me on this street, as I'm trying to relive Japan again, and this served me perfectly as my own journal. I find it more enjoyable if you turn on the caption if you are watching on YouTube.
So here I'm about to get to 7-Eleven. Maybe I can grab a coffee here.
What do you think? 7-Eleven in Japan has so much to offer, and they are perfect to grab something to munch on the go, and everything is usually great. Grab a coffee in 7-Eleven, you basically pay at the counter first, and then you get the cup and make it on your own. Outside the street, there is plentiful supply of vending machines. There is literally one on every corner of the street. Here we are, back to Diamond Palace in Shinjuku. This is the Airbnb where I stayed, and right in the lobby you can find a 24-hour laundromat. This is perfect if you run out of clothes for your trip and need a quick wash. In the main lobby, we can find another cigarette vending machine. For those that are curious how much a pack of cigarettes costs in Japan, they are between 400 and 600 yen. Okay, this is my daily breakfast egg sandwich from Family Mart. And the coffee that I just got from 7-Eleven. This is the perfect combo in the morning. This is one of my favorite egg sandwich in Japan. And they are so fluffy and soft. For my daughter, she got a matcha French donut and a salmon origine, which is basically a triangular shaped rice wrapped with seaweed and salmon. Now, on our first day in Tokyo, our destination is the famous Senso-ji temple. This is the oldest established temple in Tokyo. And of course, it is one of the most popular destinations for most tourists. Just to give you a perspective, and in case you want to make that into your itinerary, this is where I'm in Shinjuku. And here is Senso-ji Temple on the northeast side. In my opinion, this is one of the tourist attractions that you must visit to take some photos. Where are we going? Loi Moon, Where is Loi Moon? What's the English name?
It's like a temple, right?
From the station Asakusa, it should take around 10 to 15 minutes to walk to the Senso-ji temple. Along the way, there are plenty of shops, restaurants, souvenir shops, ice cream shops, and more. One thing that the Japanese really outshines other tourist attractions is that they really have outstanding, unique architecture, a mindful culture, and a irresistible cuteness to it. Look at each of the shops. They look quite interesting on their own. We are now just a minute away from the temple, and it is evident from the size of the crowd that many tourists come here in the hopes of getting as much good fortune and luck as they can. We already have an eye for a fried bun here. The flavor we're getting is the black sesame fried bun. We really liked it. Time to get omiguji at Senso-ji Temple. Omiguji in Chinese means 求籤. It is basically written fortunes at shrines and temples in Japan. For this particular temple, this required a small offering of about 100 yen, and then picking up a metal box that has a tiny rounded slot at the bottom where a stick will come out from. You can shake the box a few times in the hope of receiving good fortune. Hey, I'm quite lucky this time. I got a good lucky fortune from the written note that it refers to. This is great start.
OK，咩幾多簽啊？希望你上簽。幾多話76？跟我一樣小啊。第76簽。
睇下先。
富貴天之佑益好嘢嚟喎。呀！話富貴天之佑，何須苦用心？前程應顯直，久用得高臨。吉簽。
吉簽，OK。Moving on to the front of the temple, we see people trying to absorb the smoke, which I hear would bring luck. At least that is what I hear. Moving on to the right, we see a fountain of water. And I was told that if you wash your hands with the water, that will also bring you luck. Now let's move on to the main temple and take a look. Even the surroundings of the temple look pretty nice, and there are tons of street foods worth visiting. So let me take you for a walk and find some good street food nearby. Don't these snacks look similar to those anime from Japan? This is one of the places we researched, and apparently the eel is this store's specialty. There are basically two options, the regular or charcoal. We went with the charcoal, and it is quite cheap at 600 yen. Most restaurants and shops use this kind of machine to pay for goods. Recently, they have added more English on the label, so that can be convenient. Look at this piece of art. Obviously, it tastes pretty good. I would recommend it. Now we are on to the quest to get to the Japanese restaurant that we had planned.
which is nearby the strip, not too far from the temple. Here is a local coffee shop that is not Starbucks, and I think they look pretty good. I would love to have a coffee here if I have time. Yes, we finally found the restaurant, but we are a bit early. They don't open until 11:30, and we end up waiting for a bit. So here we are. My wife had a sashimi combo and it was incredible, according to her. I can't comment because I don't eat raw fish. My daughter had the tempura shrimp and it was really good. I had the most boring chicken, but it was surprisingly good. The crumbs were really fluffy and had a very chewy texture. I just loved them. Akihabara is the center of gaming, manga, and anime culture in Japan. With its electronic shops, maid cafes, and anime stores, it is a paradise for any self-proclaimed otaku. As you can tell, there are plenty of anime shops and there are plenty of toys and figures to choose from. Not to mention, there are endless collectible and unique gachapons in this area. Let's take a walk and feel the vibe of this street. Hopefully, I could relive the experience as I'm trying to bring back my own memories. Time again, we find a big camera. I couldn't resist and I went up to see some camera stuff. Guess what? The Osmo Pocket 3 was available and I was surprised the price was cheaper than in Canada. So we spent most of the late afternoon in Akihabara browsing the street. If you are a Japanese anime fan, this will not disappoint you. went to a nearby mall to search for Kirby's Cafe, in which my daughter was interested. Not to lie, by this time of the day, we are all very tired from walking. While they kept searching for Kirby's Cafe, I decided to sit a bit at Starbucks and enjoy a coffee. It took us a long time, but we finally found Kirby's Cafe. Getting dark and hungry, it is time for dinner, and it is time for a good ramen. The restaurant host guided us on how to pick up our order. As usual, it was quite overwhelming at first, but the staff were really friendly. I love the Japanese vibe in this restaurant. No clue what the name of this restaurant is, but all I can say is that the ramen was spectacular. This is one of my favorites from this trip to Japan. Ramen, it comes with a paste that you just put on the ramen, and it tastes so good. I just love the broth and the richness. The bamboo shoots taste good and are soft. Love it. The chasu was tender and soft, 100% recommended. The egg yolk color looks dark orange and looks delicious, and it was pretty good. This is the best ramen I had so far.
It's the first ramen,
Yeah, exactly. We decided to take a walk back to Shinjuku. It is a perfect time to catch some nighttime footage. Again, we tumble back to big camera. For some reason, my wife has an obsession with hair dryers in Japan. She thinks that it is better than those we purchased in Canada. More on that story later on. The nighttime in Japan just looks spectacular with so many lights. Tonight was so much better without rain and so much better than the first night when we arrived. Look at this vintage camera store. It looks so interesting. We are now approaching the famous gigantic 3D billboard. This is by far one of the latest crowd stopper at a busy intersection in Tokyo, Shinjuku. Look at the number of people at this intersection. Although we were really tired, I was trying to look for a map camera. It is a place where you can find some second-hand camera and accessories. I was hoping to find some cheap lenses, but unfortunately it was closed, and I never had a chance to visit one. Too bad.
後悔したくないし、してほしくない。その思いは全員一緒。北口ファイト。
What is this character?
You know the rhythm game I played? This is literally the one I was looking for.
Really?
Unfortunately, we had a few tries, but my daughter claimed that was impossible after trying multiple times.
No, look, it's gonna let go when it's like this.
係咯，嗱，嗱，
See?
係啦，係啦。